We are about to finish the first Perek. Welcome back, Shlomo. Maseches Bava Metzia. Whoa. Maseches Bava Metzia Daf. Yeah, Maseches Bava Metzia Daf. Chof Amud Beis. Wow, we are almost there. Chof Amud Beis. And today's shir will be officially divided into two because I'm on the next two recordings. The end of the first Perek and then the beginning of the second Perek. Bezras Hashem. Welcome back. We missed you, Shlomo. And we are in the wide lines, Chaf Omud Beis. That's where we are. First day of Slichas and the first Perek of Bava Metzia. We're finishing. Bezras Hashem. Should have a good year, full of tshuva and ma'asim tovim. Tnan, im yesh. The line starts with the word yesh. And of course, we have to review what we saw before. It's towards the end of the line, Tnan. The first word of the word is lay, and one line below that starts with the word yesh. In any event, so it's like this. Basically, Rav said the follows. Yeah, what happens if you're a malva? The person is a malva. Person lent money, and now he has on his desk in his house. There are adim, there are witnesses who say, we saw that besides having the shtar choiv, that the loive owes him money, besides that, also we saw that he has a shovar. What's a shovar? He has a receipt. Let's say the borrower is Shimon. He wrote a receipt to Shimon, which is kind of confusing because he has the shtar in his hand. The shtar shows Shimon owes Reuven. On the other hand, there's a shovar. There are one of two options. There are only one of two options. Either he wrote the shovar, the receipt, in order to give it to Shimon, which did not pay his debt yet, and obviously that's his version in court of the malve, the lender. The loiva says, no, you wrote it to me, I gave it back to you already, you wrote it to me already before, and you were on your way to give it to me, and you didn't yet do it, and you're just a liar. In other words, I already paid. In other words, the shovar is, that's the question is, ever seen the pictures of the diet before and after? Well, in this case, it looks the same. The shovar is on the desk of the malve. The question is it before or after? That's literally $1 million question. Did he write it in order to get the milve back and he didn't yet get it back? Or did he write it after receiving the money back? Yeah, and therefore, okay, says Rav categorically, we assume that he wrote it in order to give it to the loiva who did not yet pay. In other words, the shovar, in simple words, which we're going to use from now on, it's not a good shovar. Doesn't mean that it's possible or forged or anything wrong with it. It's not a usable shovar. The shovar is not yet something that actually has been actualized. It wasn't yet used. In other words, the milva was not yet returned. That's what we say according to Rav, and Rav explained why. Because people tend to have the shovar ready to be able to draw it when Mr. Loive will finally decide to give back the shtar. Don't forget to write your prusbul. Nothing to do with that, yeah, but okay. Alva. In other words, so basically, the shtar here is something that was written in order to be ready, hikon, as we say in Hebrew, in order to give it to the loive, but the milva was not yet assumed to be paid, and the loive will have to pay it back because there's a shtar next to it. Now we're going to attack Rav's words from different versions. What did we say in our very own Mishnah? We say, Im yesh imon simphonos. We saw in a Mishnah that if the malve has simpon, it's not symphon, it's simpon. It's not a symphony. Simpon is a shovar, is a receipt. If you find a simpon, a receipt in the possession of the malve, then the simpon is right, is good. You do what's written in the simpon. That's exactly against Rav. Exactly against Rav. Why? Because Rav said, the Mishnah says, you follow what's in the simpon, which means you assume that the shovar is good. What's good? Meaning it was paid. And it's just a matter of technicality until the shovar gets to the hands of the loiva. But the milva was paid if he has a simpon in his possession, the malva, against Rav. Answers the Gemara, I'll answer you, Kid'oma Rav Safra. I'll answer you according to what Rav Safra says later on. What does Rav Safra say regarding a different answer, a different question later? Shenimtza ben shtorois kruin. This simpon, location. Where was the simpon found? It was found in the drawer of the torn shtorois. There are different ways to explain it in Rashi and others. Basically, it's a rather simple answer. It's true, says Rav, I stick by my gun and I say that the shovar is a good shovar. Yeah, meaning that, excuse me, no, it was not yet paid. Normally the shovar was not yet paid. However, if the shovar was found in the drawer in the area with all the torn shtaros, what are torn shtaros of the malveh? Yeah, Akiva, I lend him, and I have all these torn shtaros of the past. It's basically going to go to the garbage, yeah, or maybe out to the hands of other people of the loivim. You wanna, take a picture to show the loiv that you tore the shtar, right? If so, basically, the shtar's kruin is something which you would say in English, it's part of the drawer where the box is ticked. It's been taken care of. Yeah, you have such a drawer of things that are already, project finished, project over. It's still there until I empty my desk, until there's something technical. Well, completely get rid of it. If the simpon is there, of course. If the simpon was found there, the location reflects on the fact that the simpon is really a good simpon because it was already paid, because it's part of the paid bills already. Yeah, it's part of the paid stamp. And therefore, only if it's there, that's only in that case, or we'll see other cases later, that even according to Rav, we assume that the debt was paid. Next, yeah, Ochanami here too, in our case, here too, he found it amongst the torn stores. Toshma, another question. Nimtza le'echod ben shtaroisov. A person found amongst his shtaros, yeah, Shmita, Ruzbul, I don't know. He's now looking through his shtaros. And what did he see in the shtaros? Shtar shel Yosef ben Shimon parua. Yeah, it says about the shtar of Shimon ben Yosef. There's a simpon that tells me the Yosef ben Shimon. Remember Yosef ben Shimon? That's always the name of the person who has a namesake. Yeah. In other words, there are two people in town called Yosef ben Shimon. Okay. Those two people, those two Yosef ben Shimons, what about them? They both borrowed from from Mr. Lender, from Reuven, right? Okay. So now they both borrowed from Reuven, and now what do we say? Oh, what? Because it says the Yosef ben Shimon, I have two Yosef ben Shimon who borrowed from me. Okay, good. Now, I have two symphonos written. No, excuse me, there's one simpon written to Yosef ben Shimon. Excuse me. One simpon written to Yosef ben Shimon. Which one is that? They can both play games with me and say, prove to me, says each one, that I'm not the Yosef ben Shimon that was already paid, right? And therefore, we say, that's it. So, the shtar of both of them is parua. But in any event, you see that having a symphony in my house, had there been only one Yosef ben Shimon and one shovar Yosef ben Shimon, then it would have been good. Why? If a shovar found in the hands of the malveh, says Rav, is nothing. You assume it was written not for rainy day, for sunny day, when the guy will eventually pay you. But we don't say that it was already paid. And says the Gemara, same thing. Just like Rav Safra says, when you found it already, it was amongst the shtaros kuin. It was amongst the shtaros that were torn, which means that the location denotes that this kind of shovar is something of the past, something that was returned and dealt with. Here too, in our case also, if the simpon is found amongst the torn ones, then it's good. Then the simpon means it was already paid, because this drawer, this area in my desk, is an area of the Zichron Levracha stuff, which means that the debt was paid, and it's just a technicality until I see him next time in shul and give him the shovar. Yes. So far, we repeated, by the way, previous year. Yes. Let's go. Oh, Toshma. That's what we're holding now. Shvua shaloi pakadnu abba. The Yesoimim take from Yesoimim. Yesoimim versus Yesoimim. The orphans of a malveh come to the Yesoimim of the borrower, the loive, and they say, your father owed our father money, and here is the shtar. Without going into many reasons, but we all understand, generally speaking, Yesomim could be there, by the way, 35 years old. We're not talking necessarily about Kitanim, but they don't really know 100% what happened with the father's assets. Sometimes people can also abuse that. In other words, maybe the father Malve to father Loive, before they both died, had all kinds of oral agreements or stuff going on that we don't know about. Now the Yesomim of the Malve come with a nice, fancy, good-looking shtar, and they say, look, the shtar says your father, your deceased father, OBM, owes the other father, ZL, they owe him what? He owes him, and therefore you owe us now, you know how much? You know, $1 million. So that's not enough. Because we're not sure about what happened behind the scenes before it was Nifter, those Yisomim, the Yisomim of the Malve, the ones who are charging, the ones who are coming to take and collect, they have to make 3 different Shvuos. Machlokes Ritva and Rashi, I'll follow Rashi now. Shvua shelo pakadnu Abba. We make a Shvua that our father did not tell us before his death that he actually paid it. In other words, could be that the father, before he died quite suddenly, or died and he didn't have time to actually deal with the shtar. But maybe really maybe the milva was paid. Maybe Mr. Loive paid Mr. who? Mr. Malve, and maybe the Malve died. Well, he actually did, and he didn't have time to return the shtar to the Loive. And those Yisraelim, innocently or not innocently, I didn't learn this case inside in Shavuos now, but Lamaisa, these Yisraelim are abusing the situation of, the shtar is there. Maybe there was just no time to return the shtar to the Loive and finish off nicely because he kind of died, and therefore we say, Shavua shaloi pakadnu, make a Shavua, you, Yisraelim, who come to take money, to charge, to collect, be nishba, Shavua, Sefer Torah, make a real Shavua that your father did not, either they never told you, or pakadnu, that he didn't command you, like Kudah, to give back the shtar. V'shaloi omar lanu Abba, that our father never told us even prior to his death that the shtar really has to be returned and the milva was already collected. In other words, we make all kinds of shvuas that the kids should not have any way out. We try to block all exits to make sure that the Yisomim are not lying, that the father was not paid the debt, and it's just a technical matter, the shtar is in his hand before his death. Here comes the punchline. Third shvua. Yeah, interesting. The shvua always has to do with number 3. There are many things to do with shvua, the number 3. Basically, here's the third shvua. Make a shvua that we did not find maybe yesterday night when they went into daddy's house to look for the goodies. I know it don't sound nice, yeah? To look for stores and stuff. Maybe they found there in his office desk. Maybe they found there a shovar. Make shvua, you didn't find a shovar that Mr. Loive, who now you're going to charge his children, make sure that there was no shovar, that he was paid. Oh, mashma, that is what? That really, if they found such a shovar, that means that it was paid, and that's against Rav, right? Because Rav said, even though you found the shovar in the desk, unless it's found with the torn papers, then no. Then we say that the shovar, that the money was not paid. Here comes Rav Safra's original statement. Rav Safra that we kept quoting, here he comes. Here comes Rav Safra and tells us, no, this is the real Rav Safra. And he says, only when it was found among shtoros kruin, among the torn pieces of paper, among the torn shtoros, and not amongst the good ones, but only among the torn ones, that is to say, that shovar is a milva dealt with. Because a shovar, by the way, is like a shovar karua. That's why, birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, they are the same. You put them all in the same drawer, in the same place, in the same mimela. Only then we say that the shofar was paid. Otherwise, we assume the shofar was not paid like Rav. Of course, Ellen, there are assumptions. It could be the other way around, but this is how we work with halacha. We work with the best assumption we can have. Toshma, here we're going to quote 2 different memros, and they're very similar but very different. And here we have to play at the differences. Toshma, come listen to this. I think it's a brisa. Before I continue, we all know that every good shtar, every good kosher shtar, mehadrin, or a shovar, a simpon, shovar, receipt, it's all the same, should have chasimos. Eidim should be signed on it. Otherwise, there's absolutely no value. Besides, there's a second level called kiyum. or handpick. What's kiyum or handpick? Basically, verification of signatures by Beis Din. When do Beis Din write that verification? Only on shtaras that were really used. Beis Din would never verify a get unless it came to the hands of a woman, according to Tosfos, or the husband on the way to the woman, according to Rashi, or shtar choiv. Even that, Beis Din will never verify unless they know that the debt took place. Okay, otherwise no. So now let's nice and slow. They're not long cases. They're not even hard. The trick is to spot the differences between the two cases, and both cases are attack against Rav, and Rav's going to come out of it, of course, very nice. Toshma, simpon sheyesh alav edim, a simpon that has edim on it. The simpon has edim signed on the simpon. Okay, that is a regular simpon. Yiskayim b'choismov. What does mean yiskayim b'choismov? It means that once the edim are made, we signed it. In other words, once the edim say, yes, it's us. What's a simpon? A shovar. Okay? Now, there's an argument with the lawyer and the malva whether that receipt is a good receipt. And now there are edim who come and they say, we actually say that this is our chasimas yad. Mimela, the simpon is a good simpon. What does mean a good simpon? It is in the hands of the malva, and he was paid. That's already against Rav. Because according to Rav, a simpon is only good when it's in the hands of the loive. In the hands of the loive, a simpon in the hands of the malva is assumed not to be paid. And here we say, once the edim verified and said, yes, I am Reuven ben Shimon Mendelovsky, and I'm Naftali Ochana, and these are Tudat Zehut, so it's a regular shtar. It was verified as a good shtar, and therefore, what are you making faces? And therefore, and it's not specific at all. No, it's regular. No, the edim did not testify about what happened with the shtar. I knew it's going to come. No, the edim just say, this is our signature, set to. They don't say anything about what actually happened with the loan. All they said was, yes, that's a signature, which means the shovar is verified as written as the right shovar. But we don't know whether they're not saying anything regarding what actually happened with the loan. They signed it in the middle of koilel, 9 o'clock in the evening. That's all. That's what they did. They didn't see it coming back or not because it wasn't yet verified. It's only them signing. Yes, that's me. I'm to that 340-3409. That's all. Right? And yet we see that it's a good simpon. Now, again. Yes. That's a difference between edim and handpick. Again, if I'm asked by my friend, can you please write a receipt that the debt was paid? Okay. Yes, I can sign on that document without knowing exactly what happened. Beis Din are the ones who will only verify it if they know that the actual thing actually happened. Yes? Okay, 1 second, please. And therefore, all we're saying here is as follows. If the edim verify that they signed it, and it's not treif, nobody's cheating about it. I mean, somebody's cheating at the end of the day, but the actual shovar is a good shovar. It's on the desk of the malva, which is confusing. So we don't know, was the milva actually paid or not? They're not, all they're saying is, we signed on the paper, and we knew, we're not liars, the edim are good people. They didn't see whether the milva was paid or about to be paid in 2 minutes. That's all. Please don't ask for that. 1 second, please. The Rab says as follows. You find a shovar on the desk of someone called Malve. Beautiful. Okay? Now, the Malve himself, and by the way, I'm missing Rashi here. I'll get Rashi to the story later. If now we want to find out what happened with this shtar, what happened with this shovar, says Rav, it's a good shovar, but it's not good, meaning it's good and kosher. The edim who signed on it are the biggest tzaddikim in the world. There are 2 top Rosh yeshivas in, I don't know where, Bet Shemesh, and they're very nice people. Elamai, says Rav, he wasn't yet paid, was prepared. And the edim are absolutely honest to saying, yes, we signed on a shovar, which we learned, which they're not saying, by the way, if he was going to be paid or was paid. Yeah, they're not testifying on that. That's not what they're talking about. How do we interpret the shtar? Rav says we interpret the shtar to be about to be used. Yeah, the diet picture, it's a before picture, before the milva was given back. And we are now questioning because it says in the Brisa, Yiskayim b'choismov, and that's good. Once the edim say, yes, it's us, and that's it, and then they go home. They don't have time to talk about it more, let's say, in theory, to keep you happy. Yeah, they say, yeah, it's us 100%. We're made, it's us, and then they have to run away to pick us from it. Okay, and then what? Yeah, then we say, yeah, it's a good shtar. What's a good shovar meaning? We assume good means he was paid, and that's against what Rab said. By the way, you're forcing me to explain something according to Rashi, and then I can your questions only after the answer. North Korea for about 2 3 minutes. Rashi points out what is all business with the Edim that got all confused. Rashi says as follows: if the Malva says, yeah, if the yeah, let's say the Edim did not verify. Let's say the Edim are not there to say yes, we signed it. What would be then? Says Rashi, yeah, you hear me? Let's say I'm the Malve. I have a shtar with very nice, fancy looking chasimos of two very choshev sounding people. I don't know, Nochum Yaakov Sprinzer Borodiansky and another fancy, Shlomo Zalman Erbach, yeah, the grandson. And what? But they're not here to testify. Then the Malve would be believed to say whatever he wants. Why? Remember a good friend from Costa Rica? His name is Migo. You forgot the A, just Migo. Migo is amigo. Why? Says the Malve, I'm the one who actually told you about this shtar, right? In other words, without me, about this shovar, you wouldn't have known about it because it's not verified. If the shtar is here with two fancy looking chasimas, it can be forged, and I'm the one who told you that it's a real shovar, with nobody else claiming that the shovar is real, the loive is a complete atheist when it comes to this. Yeah, I'm the malva, and I'm nice enough to admit that these are good chasimas without any objective exterior force to come and tell me. I'm so nice, cutesy, beauty. I'm the amigo. Believe me also that he wasn't paid. Then he would be believed. But if you have Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Bordiansky, and Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, the grandson, if they come and they say it's a good shtar, they're not saying if it was paid or not. I told you it's a tricky Gemara. All they say was that we signed on it. Yes, it's us. Yes, it's me. Yes, I signed it. That's it. Then it's out of his hands. It's not up to the mother to say, I'm the one who told you. No. Now the ball is out of your hands. Now the monster got out of the bottle because now what? Because now they're Adim, objective, not taking any sides, and they're saying it's a good shtar 1 minute. No questions for the next minute. They're saying that it's a good shtar. However, we see once it's an objective shtar, as they say in the yeshivas, the shtar talks. The shtar himself says, I'm a good shtar, and the Adim say it's a good shtar. The ball is out of your hands, Mr. Malve. It's on your desk, and we are now saying it's a good shovar, which was paid, and that is against the question. Answers the Gemara, and I'm answering now. And Gemara answers what you said. Says the Gemara, Ema Yiskaim Mechoisamov. You have to, the real Girsa, the real version in the Mishnah is not Choismov, but Mechoismov, which means what? The Shelinan Leluza Lesahadi, Iparua, Iloi Parua. We don't just say, if the Edim says, yes, you can, Ani Nochum Yaakov Bordiansky, if they just say, that's me, and go home, it's not enough. It's only good if we ask the Sahadi, the Edim, whether it was or wasn't collected. That's exactly like Rav. Only if the Edim testify, not only we are the Edim that signed, but we know what's going on, and we actually are made, whether it's paid or not paid, then we say that if they say it was paid, of course then we say it was paid, even according to Rav. Obviously, because the Edim say we know it was paid. They're made beyond the fact that it's their real signature and not forged. They're made about the actual event, did it or didn't take place, the return of the money. And only then we say it was paid if they said that verbally, orally. But the shtar, the shovar alone on the table of the Malva is not made as of itself. And that's exactly yes, like Rav. The shtar alone does not denote, does not reflect on any return taking place. And that's actually helping Rav, yes? And Ellen was before you this time. I'm sorry, took over. Toshma, I'd like to continue to the next one, actually, because we're playing spot the differences. And now we have to go to the next one. Thank you for your patience. We're going to see one more case, which will give you a more comprehensive look on the whole business. Maybe we'll answer your questions. And if not, we'll hear your questions after the next case. Spot the differences. Toshma says the next piece of Brisa. Simpon shieshel of Eidim kosher. A simpon that has Eidim on it, whatever that means, The kosher simpon, what does it mean? The simpon, obviously, we're not talking in the hands of the loive, say the Rishonim. A shovar in the hands of the loive, a receipt in the hands of the buyer. Yeah, I owe you. I was paid in the hands of the buyer. Of course, it's good. What's the chiddush? The chiddush is even though it's in the hands of the malve, it's kosher, meaning we assume that he was paid against Rav. Good question. He was paid, and that's against Rav who said he wasn't paid. Answers the Gemara, my edim ede kiyum. Opa. These are not the edim of before. These are ede kiyum, which means there are two sets of edim, which means, and not two sets of edim, there are two layers, two levels. This shovar we talk about now is not the shovar of before. You know, the Israel of today is not the Israel of yesterday. The shovar now is not the one before. The one who spoke about it before, which signatures were there? Nochmari Borodiansky, Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and that's it. This shovar has the Badat Seder Charedis. This one has the Beis Din of Kareli. It's saying what? That the Beis Din themselves heard that and saw and verified that these are the real Eidim. What's the difference? Beis Din only writes a kiyum and a stempel of Hechsher only on things, I use the very general things, only transactions that really took place. So of course, in this case, even Rav would agree that the milva was paid. Beis Din would not verify anything at all unless they know, with emes 100% sure, that whatever is written there, get, choiv, halva, adrachta, we can write a whole book about Shtar. Let's listen to the book, yeah? Only then Beis Din writes the stempel, boom, hechsher badat seida. Otherwise, no. And Mimela, it's not a question against Rav. Of course, says Rav. If the one found on his desk is a shtar, shovar, simpon, receipt with hechsher of Beis Din, of course it means the Beis Din actually saw or verified that he was paid. I'm not talking about, says Rav. Stop attacking me. Achinami mistabra. And it is also likely, it's very probable and likely that that's what's happening in the second case. But the Ketani Seifa, it says in the Seifa of the same brisa, the continuation of the same brisa, it says, the she'enel of Eidim posel. If there are no Eidim, then the shovar is disqualified. What does that mean? My ein all of Eidim. What do you mean when you say, if there are no Eidim, it's posel? If he means to say that there are no Eidim at all, if he said there are no Eidim whatsoever, he just says, I, Reuven, was paid back by Shimon. Remember the posel? You have to tell me that it's posel. Of course, it's posel. Shtar without edim is posel. Shtar without edim is nothing. I mean, it's as good as Balpeh if you trust the guy. Good luck. But shtar without basic signature is nothing. It's not even echsher or shovar or shtar. I kept correcting my chavrut and correcting me back. Shovar is a form of shtar. Any shtar or shovar or whatever or get, you name it, they're possible without any edim. So what's the chiddush? What does Bryce have to tell me that? Am I in Kita Aleph? I'm in Kita Dalet soon. Elalav must be a kiyum. No, that's a chiddush, and that actually helps Rav. That actually helps Rav. In other words, we're talking about a kiyum. Of course, the basic edim of the previous case, of course, they're there. Otherwise, it's non-starter. It's nothing. It's zero. It's a joke. Elamai. The issue is what happens if you find a simpon on the table of the malve, and there are or there aren't a kiyum. Without a kiyum, which means without the verification of Beis Din, we assume the shovar is not good. Not that it's straight forgery and mukdam. No, it's just not good, meaning it wasn't yet paid. It didn't yet serve its purpose. That's the word in English. As a shovar, it wasn't yet paid exactly like Rav. Oh, once there's kiyum, different story. Once Beis Din put the big red stempel, but that's the big stempel. We are the dayonim. I'm not saying, by the way, there's a real stempel. I'm just using today's language. Yeah? Once Beis Din write the extra piece and say, we, Beis Din, have verified that these are the real edim, then we know it was used, because that's Hechsher Beis Din. They know actually that the shtar, that the milva was returned, and therefore the shovar also is already after and not before. The milva was paid, and then we go now to listen to the questions of Ellen, Baruch, and Rabbeinu Peretz. Yes. Commercials. Yeah. Gufa. Simpon sheyesh alav edim. A simpon that has on it edim. Okay. What kind of edim? Let's see. Yiskayim b'choismov. So again, well, Yiskayim b'choismov means, as we said, according to Rav, Yiskayim mechoismov. The simpon that only has the basic edim on it, you don't use it until the edim actually do tell you, according to Rav, found on his desk, you really will not use it against the malve unless the edim say we saw the milve coming back or not, returned or not. That's up to the edim. And all of edim. Let's say there are no edim, or let's say there are no edei kiyum. Yeah. If there's no edim, you could also learn, by the way, yesh all of edim is kaim b'choismov, meaning there's a kiyum. That could also be. Now they're mekayim, there will be mekayim. There's a kiyum at the end of the day, on one point or the other. And all of edim. Let's say there are no edim kiyum. Let's say now is another case. There's a shalish, an escrow, a third party, in which they both entrusted the shtaris in the hands of the shalish. He's trusted by both sides like an escrow account. Yeah, malve and loive. That's a third person. And what did he say now? And now that malve says, we'll see soon. Excuse me, the shalish is the one you're talking. The shalish talks in Beis Din, and soon we'll see what he says. Let's say the shtar, yeah. Sometimes we always look at shovar. Sometimes, always, most cases, what's a receipt? A separate document, right? In other words, we have the shtar, and against the shtar, we have the receipt. True. Now, how about below the chasima? Sometimes below the lowest chasima, the lowest signature in the shovar, there's an extra line added that he was paid. Yeah, I was paid. In the actual shtar, yeah, the guy says, or the witnesses, whoever they write that milva was paid. The shovar is embedded in the actual shtar. Then kosher. Then even Rav would agree that in all these cases, we assume that the milva was paid, as opposed, and Rav would be okay with that. Why is it poshut? He can say that he wrote it, that he didn't yet give it. So, no, maybe paid before he was paid, really. Like every shovar. Normally, Rav says, if you have a shovar that says, I was paid, we say, it wasn't paid. Why is this different? Says the Gemara two reasons, two cases. Case number one. Yoitze. He was not located with the torn ones. You're making it up. He wasn't. Fakir. The chiddush is even though he wasn't located with the torn ones. Says the Gemara the reason. Case number one, we said there's an escrow, there's a third party here, a middleman. Let's say the middleman is one who says, Mechavrusa twisted my arm to say that's what it means, and it was right. The shalish, the middleman says the debt was paid. In other words, the shalish has that dubious, questionable shover in his desk, and the shalish is the one who comes to Beis Din and bravely says, yes, he was paid. Comes the malve and screams at the top of his voice and says, no, he wasn't paid, you liar. No, you can't call your shalish a liar. Why? Because the malve trusted and entrusted it in the hands of the shalish. He showed ne'amonus by giving him the money and all that, and the shovar, because shovar definitely comes from the malve. How far did it go? That's a different question, and when it was given. So once you trust the shalish, you have to believe your shalish when it talks in Beis Din. So if the shalish says it was paid, it was paid. Next case, Nami. Why does Rav agree that if the shovar is not a separate entity, but something written at the end of the shtar, why does he say over there that we know he was paid? Why? Nami, I think maybe that's what he meant to be saying. Says the Gemara, unless he wasn't really paid, he wouldn't have destroyed. He wouldn't have made his shtar look bad. What does that mean? I know we're about to finish. We're all itching to start. Let's understand. Maybe that's what you meant. What does Rav usually say? I have a shtar. I'm the malve. I'm Mr. Malve. I have a shtar, a kosher shtar on my desk says not paid. Shtar is still there, screaming, and that's a gun in my hand, right? Against that, I have a shovar. Why did I foolishly write a shovar that's against me, right? Saying it was paid. There's a contradiction on my office desk, right? True. Yes, paid, not paid. Says, I'll reconcile it. You know why he has a shovar that says he was paid? He's prepared. He's preparing the shovar for a sunny day, not for any day, when the loiver will finally give it back, a second before it goes to Uman, maybe he'll pay me, then what? And I'll quickly have a shovar ready to give him so he shouldn't have excuses. Okay, good. But I'm also secure because I have a good shtar. I have a good shtar. I didn't burn the bridges. I have a good shtar on my side. So it's a question in Beis Din. I have Rav on my side. I love Rav, says the Malve. I have a good shtar, which is not torn. And next to it, I have a shovar. That's a question which I can manage. But to destroy the shtar, it's much worse. If you write on the actual shtar, like in America, you would write with big red letters the stamp paid, you're destroying the one weapon that you have. That's foolish. Not Ukraine nor Russia would do such a thing, yeah, as foolish as they are, right? I'm saying, Avada, that you wouldn't have done such a thing unless you were really paid, even according to Rav. So we have a few exceptions to the rule. I remember now, as far as I can count, my counting is not so good. There are 3 exceptions to the rule in the case of Rav. Usually a shover on the table of the Malda means not yet paid, right? And I also explained, Ellen, it's a chazaka. We continue the previous matzav of not, he wasn't yet paid. Case number 1, when would we say he was paid? If it was found amongst the torn ones. Second case, if there was kiyum. Kiyum in Beis Din means it was really, really done. Beis Din don't put stemples on just about anything, yeah? Not on any piece of, yogurt or cheese. Third case, if the shover is not a separate entity, but the shover is actually embedded in the end of the shtar, such a thing, no normal Malvi would done with his right mind, unless it was really paid. I want to give a big shkoch to everybody here, seriously, that you've been through the sugya since Daf Yud Beis till Daf Chaf Aleph. It's one of the hardest sugyas known in the world of yeshivas, and you guys, as far as I can see the interaction, you're holding very nicely in sugya. I wish we could do chazar on that, but we have to go back to Kita Aleph, to Kita Daled, Bava Metzia. Sometimes what makes you do tshuva? You remember your childhood that was so pure. 1 second, please. Yeah, yeah. You say to Hashem, I used to be so pure, so good, when I was a kid, or when I first became frum or whatever, I became so twisted, so this with taiva, gaiva. Let's go back to the first Gemara that some of us learned. Yeah, feel the feel of the cheder. Yes. And by the way, the shir is over, and the next one will be a separate shir. No difference for you guys. I'm just going to stop the recording. So today you'll be sent 2 recordings, okay? More work for me, but it's fine. So people who just join us now for Bava Metzia will have a separate shir. So expect in your inbox 2 separate recordings. And I'm listening to your question.
The
Yes.
The receipt was found in his